more about the rules and the point scoring system, there's more info available on the website for the National Underwater Robotics Challenge. If you don't already have the link, a simple web search with those keywords will bring you to the link. There's more information about the challenges, the backstory behind why we're exploring Atlantis. Now, of course, as the legend goes, the map to this hidden temple, hidden pyramid here, was revealed from an expedition in our very own Grand Canyon here in the Grand Canyon State. And as I've been talking on there, moving into the exciting relic room, we see the nuclear green glow of the relic in the robot's view. The driver, considering their next steps very carefully, moving that relic will trigger a very exciting event, and they want to be prepared. Looks like their tether is a little bit caught up. They're moving towards the top of the pool as we see in the view. They are moving forward, they're trying to measure the height of the marking there. There's red tape there on the side of the wall, which we can't see from the view currently on the screen, but the robot did see the tiny mark. There it is on the screen. They have to measure the height of that, measuring the pressure in the pyramid. They are now lowering their focus towards the relic, making sure that they can carefully line up. They're ready to make that run when they can. I see our driver receiving some coaching from one of its teammates, making sure they're angled correctly, using the angle to measure the height of that mark. Now, of course, the environment is reset between every round, meaning that it could be a different number this time than what the team saw last time. The robot is moving towards the relic. Looks like they are trying to make sure they are not tangled up in their tether. Some of these robots may have power on board their robot or outside of the pool being transported down the tether, meaning they need to have a higher voltage of power so that the loss within that long cable does not impact performance. The robot is carefully lining up to the relic. Once again, that countdown clock starts as soon as the relic is moved. 30 seconds might feel like forever to the drivers, but it is also not a very long time. Looks like the robot touching the bottom of the pool, using their camera to carefully line up. The gripper opening, creeping forward, moving towards that relic. Will we see them grab it? They are being very tentative here, understandably. And carefully lining up, not wanting to knock it, making sure that when they close those claws, they have it securely in their hold. There is some careful discussion happening behind the computer there as the drive team lining up. And the relic is knocked over. Will they go for another run or will they try to escape? That is 60 points if they can recover it from the pyramid, and they're just short of the grab. Will they go for attempt number 3? No, the robot turning around, following the tether out. The bubbles have started. The wall has not collapsed. 30 seconds remain. 30 seconds left. We see the vision being obscured by that wall of bubbles there. The pyramid rather, fighting back as the robot escapes. Will we see the door begin to shut? Looks like we are clear of the pyramid. The robot will not be stuck inside as the door starts to close. The tether getting caught up a little bit there in the door. And they're free! The pyramid almost having the robot in its clutches, but the door shutting, the robot escaping. Our expeditioners trying to decide their next course of action as they move towards the back of the pool, going for more of those weights. Now that they have time, they are about halfway through their allotted time. Now there is bonuses associated with finishing their run early. So they have to weigh the options there. Would they like to move a weight or take those extra points from finishing early? Still have 2 weights left to move. Rather, those weights, those are ruin fragments with special concrete text on the side. We want to make sure we investigate those, so bringing them to the surface will provide more points for their team. Final scores will not be announced here on the stream, but tomorrow at the awards ceremony, we will have our final rankings available. Looks like the robot rather is returning towards their driver, trying to decide that next course of action. See the hand ready to grab the robot as well. Retrieving it. It is almost back in the human clutches there. As we move forward, will we see any other objectives try to be scored? Nope, we are hands off. And it looks like their attempt is done. Great work to both of the teams who have competed so far. We have 3 more machines yet to run tonight. We will be starting every half an hour, so our next match will be in 13 minutes. Once again, final scores will not be announced. However, I will try my best to make sure I announce what the amount of points is for each objective. We have 3 more robots. Remember, we have 2 different divisions being represented here. We have adult division and middle school, rather pre-high school. So far, we have seen a couple of the adult divisions run. We're going to reset our objectives here, and then we'll be right back with our next run in about 12 minutes. All right, welcome back to the National Underwater Robotics Challenge. We are ready to get started with our next match. Here we see our team number 2. I'm calling this robot number 2. For the movie Spare Parts, every underwater robot builder was required to build 2 of the same robot. So this robot would have represented a fictional Cornell, so we're calling this Cornell number 2, or not Cornell, or perhaps any other name you'd like to call it, as long as it's not late for dinner. They will not be going inside the pyramid, I've been informed, as the robot will get stuck. It's a little bit too wide. Unlike many of the other machines we have seen so far today, and we will see throughout the rest of the day, this one was designed as a movie prop, not to actually complete a challenge. Meaning it is capable of moving underwater, but it is not purpose-built for this event. Which is why we see it moving very, very slowly and tentatively towards the back of the pyramid. As always, we start with the lights off. Lights are off for this match so far. Now, this is truly a national competition. We have multiple states represented, as we are seeing a machine from Washington. Now, our Cornell number 2, our number 2 machine, going for the treasure chest and opening it up, revealing the secret code to enter the pyramid. Now, of course, there are still points for gaining access to the pyramid, even though this machine does not plan on going inside. We see them opening their gripper very carefully, aiming for one of the weights there on the ground, at the very least, to move it off the pedestal. It is 10 points if it's moved from the starting position, meaning that there are still points to be gained, and with them not planning on going inside the pyramid, there are still plenty of points possible. Using the gripper mechanism to grab the stem rather than the PVC ring available. And they are dragging it off the platform, and I believe it is now clear of the platform from my views here. That is 10 points for the team. They are releasing their claw, trying to disentangle themselves, and they are successful. Of course, right now we are seeing a view of the video feed from the robot. Every team is required to have a live video feed coming up to the surface. Given that the operators are not allowed to look in the pool behind them, this is also the only way the robot operator may know what the robot is doing. There are other underwater robotics competitions where it is all autonomously done. But here, the drivers have teleoperated control. Our ROV is moving towards the push buttons as well, trying to enter in that secret code. Looks like it is carefully lining up as we see it moving forward. Every robot has a light on it as well. That is 1 button pressed. There are 3 needed to open the pyramid. Must be pressed in the correct order. And we're going for number 2. Going number 2 here for that second button. And we are pressed as well. And number 3. Perfect. Moving back towards the opening. Will we see it start to open? And the door moving upwards as well. The robot opting to go towards the back of the pyramid. Once again, they do not plan on entering the pyramid, as the form factor of the machine will not fit through and cannot be easily modified to do so. The ROV using its cameras to aim towards the back of the pyramid as well, as we see it making the careful trek around towards the measurement flags. And they are lining up, moving towards that lever. Carefully, tentatively moving downwards. Once again, the view you see on screen is all that the operator could see, just the robot view. We have the luxury of having other points of view to watch from. But the operator must use only the information available from the machine itself. It is moving slowly down towards the lever as we see on screen. It needs to make sure it engages it fully. And it looks like we are locked in place. Lights may come on now. And let there be light. Bot moving around, making the trek back towards the weight, trying to knock it off of the pedestal it's on. We do have many machines represented here from the Spare Parts movie. Of course, this is also an underwater robotics competition, and many of the folks who are involved in that original film and in the story behind it are here helping out with this event. Despite being a landlocked state, we are still running excellent underwater machines. Unfortunately, knocking the weight over, as we see from that point of view. Carefully trying to line it up again on the platform using the gripper mechanism to knock it forward. Now that pedestal is not fixed to the bottom of the pool, so they have to be careful to try to move it from its starting position. This robot does not have as many thrusters as we saw from machines like the typewriter repairman, meaning they move a lot slower in the water. It's using those available on the side of the robot that help it rotate as well as move side to side and front to back. Having the angled thrusters as well, taking advantage of the different degrees of freedom available. They are about 7 minutes into their run. Still 23 minutes left. There is a bonus for finishing early or for completing the tasks that you want to early as well, so teams have to weigh that potential with the potential points available to them. Now with this robot not going inside the pyramid, that is 60 points from the library, 60 points from the relic, and more from measuring the pressure level as well that are not available to it. Looks like they are carefully lining up. They're almost off the pedestal with that weight. They're slow but steady efforts, making a big difference to the performance. We are almost free of the platform, just an inch or so away from freeing the weight from its pedestal. That is a relic fragment. We can see the ancient text written on the side. Our robot carefully trying to study it. At the very least, trying to get pictures of it if they cannot retrieve it to the surface. And bumping it off the pedestal, it's almost free, still hanging on by a smidge. And we are carefully almost off. Slow and steady wins the race here. Now, of course, they received points for entering that access code earlier. 20 so far. 20 from the chest, 20 for entering it. 20 other points for lighting up the area. Now, removing them from the starting location is 10 points each, so a very important 10 points there available to the robot. They are resurfacing, it appears, or going for another one of the weights. Looks like they can see it moved off of the platform, just confirming everything is scored correctly. Do we see the machine moving towards the surface? We see them still try to go in the pyramid. Looks like they are returning towards their starting position. They may not make another attempt at the entrance. We shall see what happens here. I don't see someone diving down to retrieve it yet. Monitoring what the robot's going to do. It's moving towards that entrance to the pyramid. Still plenty of potential. Still plenty of time ahead of it. Looking at about 20 minutes left in the mission time. They're thinking about going down the entrance of the pyramid. Now, if I remember correctly, I believe there's only 1 inch of clearance available, and given that the sides of the pyramid are rather flexible, this could be quite the adventure for our number 2 machine. lining up very carefully with all the time available to him, and it is 10 points for entering the ruins. The ruins is this tunnel, of course, and the pyramid. And they are caught up a little bit on the edge, it looks like. Now, of course, our drivers cannot hear any of my commentary nor see any of the extra video. We are only seeing the position from the robot, but I can see we are in the entryway. The robot has carefully maneuvered itself through the entryway. They are in the pyramid. Now, they have chosen to drop their entire tether in the pool. They don't have anyone managing the tether for this robot. Both the driver and the operator are at the table. So tangling is absolutely a possibility here. And given their control scheme with the thrusters put at an angle based on where they're entering the ruins, it is very, very, very tricky for them to maneuver through because the robot keeps swinging side to side, as you see there in the view. Looks like possibly a tether is caught up there on the edge of the pyramid. No, not quite. They're now in the ruins. It's very possible. I see those linkages in the tether we can see from the camera view may have been caught up on the ruins entrance. The two operators of the machine collaborating, trying to understand what their best course of action can do. Looks like they're still several feet from the main body of the pyramid. Possibly with the tether collected. They are moving back out of the tunnels we can see from the view. Getting those 10 points from entering the tunnel as well. Spinning backwards, looks like they might be caught up a little bit on the entrance. Now, the camera cannot see much of what's going on, so the operators are resorting to having to wiggle the robot around, making sure to clear themselves of any obstacles. And you can see from our point of view, looking down the tunnel, just from the point of view of the pyramid, that is what we are looking at here. We are inside the pyramid looking at the machine. Looks like they seem to be caught up a little bit there. But they are slowly moving backwards towards the entrance, trying to escape. Now, they don't have the time pressure of the ruins closing. They do have some of the time pressure, though, as they are looking at about 17 minutes left in their mission. Looks like they are almost free of the pyramid. Caught at a bit of an angle, getting free, though. One of their thrusters has escaped. They are flying blind when it comes to escaping the pyramid, of course, as they are backing out of it. Just close, and if they move it full back, they may be able to escape. They're turning slightly, trying to turn themselves around there in the entrance. Oh, are they getting a little caught up on something? Hopefully they're not wedging themselves there in the pyramid, turning off and on their lights. As we see looks like they are stuck there at a bit of an angle. Moving forward, the driver's trying to clear that machine from the pyramid. They've turned completely around, trying to take advantage of their new position to free themselves. Unfortunately, the view on their camera isn't quite enough to really see what they're caught up on. These ruins are tricky, made of some unknown material we haven't explored yet here in Atlantis, but that is some of the excitement that these machines get to view. Looks like we are almost free of the pyramid. They are escaping, and the robot is free as well, returning back to the surface. We see the headlights of the machine turning around. Uh-oh, they're getting caught on the door, the entryway, making sure that they are clear of it. Moving back towards the operator who may be retrieving them, or will we see other points attempts as we move forward? Having the thrusters at an angle means that the machine moves much slower when it comes to the cardinal directions, but they have much more granular control when it comes to turning the robot around. The machine appears to be heading back down towards the pyramid, seeing if they can accomplish as many tasks as possible. Moving slowly, looking at what points are available to them. They are discussing, looks like the drive team is strategizing their next course of action. Now there are some measurement tasks possible, and possibly another weight to move as well there in the back. Now that might be your heaviest. Or are they going for, they're going for the lighter weight, seeing if they can retrieve it to the surface. Taking advantage of the extra time available to them for not going into the pyramid. They are lining up with their gripping mechanism there onto the weight. Oh, and they knock it over! That attempt might be done. They may not be able to recover from there. They're considering their next course of action. Pushing the weight. Trying to maybe tip it back upright. We're seeing from the robot's point of view right now. See our drive team discussing what the next thing to do is as the robot backs away. Will they resurface, or will we see them attempt one more objective before they are done for the moment? We see them backing up, possibly returning to the surface as well. And they are on the surface, almost there, about a foot away. Not sure what their next plan is. They're floating towards the edge of the pool, possibly, or staring down at the objectives available to them. Now remember, there is a bonus if they finish early. $60 possible points for ending the mission early. Now, I must correct myself from earlier. While there is a 30-minute window available to these teams, they actually only have 20 points available to score as many as possible. This allows us time to reset the environment for the next team, give everyone some breathing room as well, and have reliable start times for everyone. Which means that we only have 1 minute left. 1 minute left for the robot to score as much as they can. Looks like they're just resurfacing so that it does not have to be retrieved by the diver at the end of the match. Looks like they're discussing some last second strategy. Now, they can exceed the mission time limit, but it is a 20-point deduction for exceeding that. Now, I need to make sure I have my timing right. Looks like they're moving towards the back of the pool. Maybe, going for that distance measurement there. Looking at those two flags. I suppose a guess is better than nothing for that robot as well. They are now 20 minutes into their session. They will be wrapping things up, I believe, as they decide what measurement they're going for. These are scored. It is 50 points available for getting that distance. We've seen the other teams do it so far. 50 points available, and points are subtracted from those possible 50 based on how far off their guess is. Now, this is the guess of the human players rather than the bot itself. Looks like they are returning their machine towards the surface as their time winds down. And that is a controller down for the team. The machine has returned to the edge of the pool and they are retrieving it. Great work to our team so far. That was our third run of the day. We have 2 more left. 2 more runs left for tonight. Trying to score as many points as possible. The last 2. Next up will be a robot named Kevin. And our next team is Electric Wave, a pre-high school team. They've been working hard all day to make sure their robot is ready to go, and I'm excited to see what happens next. And your scores from the last match we saw, 119. The robot scored 119 points. Those are preliminary scores, of course, subject to change as we move forward. And now that it is 9:30 p.m. here in Arizona, it is time for our next machine to begin setting up. This is Kevin. Kevin starting their setup as well. 5 minutes are allotted for setup, 20 minutes for mission time, leaving a total time limit of 25 minutes for the teams. Now, of course, they do not have to spend the whole 5 minutes setting up. It's all cumulative, but if they finish early, there are 3 points scored for every single minute early finished. So with that, I see them beginning to set up from our point of view here. All lights are off. We are keeping a darkness because we are in a deep sea. Setup is beginning. This is Kevin with the robot Kevin, trying to do as many Kevin tasks as possible. Looks like setup is continuing as we are making sure that we have all of our video feeds ready. Oh, looks like video's slowly coming up. It is quite fuzzy here. We're going to get a view of the actual operating station with quite a bit of interference going on there. But of course we are seeing their logs instead of the video view. Hopefully we will see some actual feed here as we move forward. And looks like we've cleared our view up. Once again, we did not specify particularly clearly what video had to be given to the teams, but it's connected. We're now seeing a feed from the robot as it is looking down towards the grating of the pool. Oh, more interesting logs. Lots of ones and zeros. Data. Many data going through as we get set up. That's why we have this setup window. Looks like they are negotiating what their next task is as I see the logs up on screen. And it's back over to the camera. Not much to comment on here as it is just sitting there on the side of the pool from what you can see. See the light illuminated, getting ready to explore the depths of the dark ocean before the light is turned on. Looks like we have some reflections, some artifacts there, some reflections on the glass from the light available to it. But they are not letting that impede them as they move back forward towards the light switch. Now, you can't tell much from the view currently, but they're navigating towards the back of the pyramid where the light switch is. Now, Kevin, being a Kevin here, as they dive deep towards the light switch, towards some of the weights. Oh, the robot falling downward. What is happening here as they move towards the weight? That was a sudden sink. Did we have a leak? Or is that an intentional design? I have not had time to familiarize myself, but it seems to be intentional as they're going for that 2-pound weight. One of our relic fragments there available to it. We cannot view a lot from the point of view available on screen. I cannot see the gripper mechanism to see if they're actually going to get a hook. Looks like have a bit of a makeshift hook. I saw it being created earlier today, going for the PVC opening. The point of view barely takes a look at it, trying to get that alignment set up correctly. At the very least, pushing it up off of the pedestal and almost lined up onto it. Looks like the hook is a little low, a little off to the side. It is a narrow target for the machines to aim. And they knock it over. Gravity being an enemy of these machines so far today. Even underwater, gravity is still causing problems. Now Kevin moving the relic fragment off of the pedestal. It is 10 points. 10 points for each one removed, no matter its weight limit. That is the 2-pound weight there. Now, earlier, as I mentioned, it's increasing points. Oh, the machine has tipped over, but it is jetting back up towards the surface. This machine is much more maneuverable than some of the ones we've seen earlier, as it looks down towards that knocked over relic fragment, moving towards the treasure chest to reveal the combination needed for opening up the ruins, the pyramid. It appears that this machine has pretty strong up and down movement, up and down from the point of view of the pool. As they aim towards that light switch, trying to line up and turn it on. Not sure if they can see where they are exactly from their camera point of view. It is pretty difficult. And they are aiming up and looking over towards that light switch as they run into the side of the pyramid there and moving downward, trying to make sure that that gets triggered on time. And dropping downward, we see, and it's latched in place. Let there be light. Oh, we lost lights very briefly, but the switch has been pressed. There we go. Looks like we have a lost machine part there on the bottom of the pool, as I see a nut there on the bottom. You never know what you find at the bottom of the ocean. There could be great treasure buried here as we move back towards the treasure chest, where we will see the entrance combination needed to get into the ruins. The machine is carefully aiming towards the treasure chest as well. Their field of view is pretty narrow, as I can tell, as they move their manipulating mechanism towards the treasure chest, trying to pop it open, and they are successful. Looking for the combination. They're going to have to tilt their camera up a little bit to be able to read what it says. Can't quite see from here. Looks like they are writing that down, making sure they have the correct order. Now, the Kevin machine reminding me somewhat of a squid as they move towards the front of the ruins, going towards those push buttons that will trigger the entrance. Right now it is closed as they are carefully aiming towards the buttons. It's very difficult for them to be able to see. Camera placement is half the game here. The other half is making sure everything is watertight. They are several feet away from those buttons, though it does seem closer from the robot point of view. But these operators have run this machine before. One button pressed. They move over to the next one, two left. Carefully angling towards it to make sure they also fully press it in. Sometimes it can be easy to not quite fully trigger these buttons yet. And that is the next one. And there is a third required as well. Diving down towards the final button required. And they push into it, tilting sideways, but righting themselves. Will we see the door open here soon? Were they successful in entering the combination towards the ruins? Looks like perhaps not, as the door has not opened yet. Making sure every button is correctly pushed. And there it goes. That's the correct combination. Sometimes it is easy to get lost here in the deep, dark ocean. But the pyramid door has opened, and this robot will be able to make it through the entrance. This is one of the smallest form factors we've seen so far this weekend. They are carefully navigating down the bottom of the pool, lining up towards the entrance to the pyramid. As we see them moving upwards. Oh, they're caught up on the door. They are realizing that now from their camera viewpoint. As we see them lower themselves through and thread the needle in through that pyramid entrance. More tether is being given to the machine as it moves forward down the passageway. First, I expect the robot will be exploring the library, going for those levers. They were easily able to get the one on the back of the pyramid, so there should be some quick points for them. That relic does, of course, start that timer, and if they get trapped in the pyramid, no more points can be scored, even the other ones within that pyramid.